Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are tackling a stack of sources that really challenge everything we think we know about self-improvement.
Mm-mm.
We've been looking at the philosophical writings of Koichitsuru, and we're focusing on this one astonishingly radical concept, gadatsu, liberation.
That's right. And these texts are, they're not your typical 10-step program.
Not at all.
They offer this deep, almost revolutionary shift in perspective. Basically, they tell you that you're doing growth, doing happiness completely backward.
Right, so if your model is all about striving or struggle or waiting for some future breakthrough,
Yeah, you should probably prepare for a serious recalibration.
because the central paradox here, the one the sources just drop on you immediately, is almost, well, it's impossible to reconcile intellectually.
It really is.
They state that gadatsu is, at the same time, the single most difficult thing for a human to achieve, like a mountain of psychological resistance. And it's the easiest thing anyone can do, instantly. It requires 0 times 0 process.
And that just forces you to ask the question, right? If this freedom is so instantaneous, why aren't we all experiencing it right now?
Exactly. What is this mechanism, this deep-seated, hidden belief,
What the source calls the ego, or jiga.
the jiga, that is actively and constantly preventing us from just accessing that freedom?
That's the mission.
And that is our mission for this deep dive, to unpack this stunning paradox. How can ultimate liberation be instantaneous? And what do we have to dismantle to realize it? Let's start with the location of liberation itself.
The location is, I think, the first huge obstacle, because we are all conditioned to believe that anything worth achieving is always somewhere else.
Oh, yeah, in the future or...
At a higher income bracket or after we fix ourselves. But the sources are, absolutely clear on this point. Liberation is right here, right now.
right at our very feet.
Exactly. It requires no seeking because it is nowhere else.
So the search itself becomes the main obstacle. It's that classic story of, spending your whole life looking for a treasure chest only to realize you were sitting on it the whole time.
You were sitting on it. The source describes this pivotal shift, and this is where the jiga starts to dissolve. It's the moment that realization moves from just an idea in your head to a central conviction, the conviction that now and here is the best place for me. This moment is complete.
And when that clicks, really clicks into place, the ego just loses its fuel.
It has nothing left to chase.
Right. The whole premise that I need to go somewhere else or become someone else to be happy it's gone, instantly nullified.
So you stop seeking what you think is missing and you start to enjoy what's already happening.
Which brings us to the core action. And this is where that simple versus difficult thing really hits home. The sources say the simplest path is to abandon the state of disliking. What was the Japanese phrase?
It's yanagaru to iu shinkyu wo akirameru. You have to give up the feeling of disliking the present moment, or worrying about the past or the future.
Oh, if you're stuck in traffic, you give up the feeling of disliking the traffic.
Exactly.
If you're struggling with a hard task, you give up disliking the struggle itself.
Precisely. That is the mandate. And
Yeah.
that's the core to difficulty for us.
Yeah.
Our survival instincts, our conditioning, our jiga, they thrive on finding problems, things to dislike and resist.
So to truly commit to abandoning the belief that this moment is somehow not optimal, that it's flawed, that takes a lot of courage.
The source calls it a radical determination. It's not a casual choice.
But then you have the flip side, the easy part.
Right.
Because it's a realization, not a process. The moment you make that genuine commitment,
Yeah.
the moment you stop fighting the reality of the now,
The change is instant.
the change is instant. It's a choice to stop disliking, and a choice doesn't take time. You can make it immediately.
Yeah, and it's key to grasp that it's the abandonment of the resistance that's instant. It's not about slowly practicing positive thinking. That resistance is what makes everything feel so impossibly hard.
And what's really fascinating is how this just short-circuits the whole self-improvement industry.
Oh, completely.
There's this incredible anecdote in the source where the writer's asking how they can change their defects, their ketten, to better serve humanity.
Which is the most natural human thought process, right? Find
Yeah.
the flaw, fix the flaw, then you can be useful. We're always assessing ourselves against some standard.
Always. But the answer they received were so counterintuitive. It was simply, you have nothing you need to fix.
And that's liberating.
Wait, I have to push back on that, though. That sounds a little like denial. How can a person look at genuine personal failings,
Yeah.
I don't know, chronic procrastination or a short temper, and just say, I have nothing to fix? That feels irresponsible.
And this is where the source makes a very, very careful distinction. It argues that defects, or ketten, don't actually exist in your fundamental nature. Only unique characteristics, or tokushitsu, exist.
Okay, so if I have a short temper, what's the source say that is?
That short temper is just an expression of a characteristic. Maybe an intense capacity for immediate emotional reaction, or a low tolerance for inefficiency.
Right.
When that trait is fully utilized, channeled well, it's a strength, Chosho. It becomes decisive action or deep passion. When it's not utilized well, its manifestation is just called a defect.
So strengths and defects are two sides of the same coin.
Exactly.
I see. So the powerful energy that makes you passionate about justice is the exact same energy that makes you fly off the handle at some minor inconvenience.
Precisely. The underlying trait is powerful. Its usage determines the label.
So if you follow that logic, the only true defect, the only thing that actually needs correcting,
is the idea that you have flaws that need to be corrected. That idea is the jiga just creating an internal war.
the moment you accept, I am fine as I am, short temper and all, because that temper is just misapplied passion, the war stops.
Here's the picker. The source notes that once this insight was accepted, the person changed incredibly rapidly. They became extremely action-oriented, which seems to defy that whole non-seeking mandate.
So they accepted they had nothing to fix, and suddenly they became highly effective.
Mm-hmm.
This is that paradox principle in action, isn't it? The source is basically telling us that the 3D world operates by these completely counterintuitive rules.
Absolutely. Think about it. The moment you stop trying to force change, authentic change just happens.
Or what's another one? When you stop frantically worrying about needing money and you accept your current reality as complete, somehow resources start to gather.
Exactly. And the emotional one is, I think, the most profound.
Yeah.
When you stop suppressing emotions, anger, sadness, fear, and you just let yourself feel them, without judging them as bad, they calm down. They resolve themselves.
The suppression is what gives them their power.
You're resisting the resistance. You're doubling the effort. The moment you accept the now as perfect and yourself as fine, you shift from this fear-based striving
I must work hard to fix
to
this.
joy-based creation. I'm creating because I enjoy this.
Okay, that brings us to a huge practical question, and it really adds the meat to this deep dive, redirecting all that wasted energy. If we stop fighting ourselves, stop trying to fix flaws that don't exist, and accept the now, where does all that mental energy go?
It's a good question. I think we need to do like an energy audit of the mind. The sources list 7 primary categories where we just pour our energy, and these aren't minor leaks, they're torrents.
And this is standard operating procedure for the Jiga.
Totally. This is what it does.
Okay, let's break down the biggest energy sinks.
First, there's a massive amount of energy consumed by self-blame. Just reliving past mistakes, mentally punishing yourself. Second, the energy wasted attacking or criticizing others. The source calls it hageki.
And that's not just arguing with people, right? It's the constant internal critique.
It's the internal monologue. Yeah. Third is enduring or stifling gaimin. That mental effort to hold back what you really think in a meeting or to just endure a job you hate, it's exhausting.
It's like holding a beach ball underwater.
Yeah.
So much energy.
Yes. Fourth is internal conflict, Katu. Just that constant debate in your head about what to do, what you should have said.
And number 5 has to be massive in the age of social media, worrying about what others think.
How will I be perceived? It's a full-time job for so many people.
And the 6th one seems custom-made for this deep dive.
Lamenting, I am still not there. The geidatsu gap, worrying that you haven't reached enlightenment yet, or financial freedom, or whatever it is.
Then the last one.
7th, worrying about family or the future. Just forecasting negative scenarios, living in anxiety about things you can't control right now.
If you tally all that up, I mean, that's pretty much all non-productive mental activity.
That's a staggering amount of bandwidth.
So if you just stopped,
Yeah.
the sources insist that all this freed energy, it has to be converted.
Entirely. Into the creation of joy and beauty. It's not about becoming some passive blob. It's about active, positive creation.
So how do you access that? What's the practical guide?
The source is very specific here. You have to focus on the feelings of joy, comfort, happiness. The Japanese word is kokochiosa,
Okay.
but crucially within the body and the heart, not in your head.
Why is that distinction so important? The head versus the body.
Because the intellect is the domain of the jiga can intellectualize happiness. I'm happy because I got a
Oh,
promotion.
no reason.
But the body and heart, they only respond to genuine comfort. And when you focus on those positive physical and emotional sensations, that visceral kokochiosa, you are naturally driven to do things that sustain those feelings. It becomes effortless.
But this feels like exactly where the ego, the jiga, would sneak back in.
How so?
It hears all this, these deep insights, and its immediate response is, oh, I know that already.
And that is the ego trap, 100%.
Right.
The source calls it ear satisfaction.
Your satisfaction. I like that.
The jiga uses that intellectual dismissal, that feeling of having heard it before, to avoid the hard work. It lets you feel smart without actually having to change.
So you have to be wary of your own mind saying, I get it, so I don't need to do anything differently.
Precisely. Because true gadatsu is felt in the body and heart. It's not just filed away in your intellectual archive.
This takes us to the deepest and probably most challenging level of this, unconditional self-acceptance, and how that completely changes our relationships.
Mm-hmm.
The sources claim we have to love and embrace every single part of ourselves, even the parts we hate, the parts that cause us distress, like chronic fear or shame.
This unconditional love of self is the true gadatsu. It means you need zero conditions, no achievements, no fixed flaws, no external validation to accept yourself completely.
And this is where it makes that incredibly difficult claim about other people just being a mirror to our internal state. Let's use that example, the boss who constantly yells.
Okay, yeah.
So if you're struggling with a difficult person like that boss, the source argues that person is just, showing you a part of yourself you've refused to accept.
They're a physical mirror for your own unrecognized negativity, your own fear.
Okay, wait. That sounds, I don't know, it sounds a bit like spiritual bypassing. And I think a lot of listeners will feel that friction.
Mm-hmm.
Are we really saying that if someone has a genuinely abusive, toxic boss, the solution is just to accept their own internal fear, and the boss will magically become kind?
That's a critical point. And the source's perspective here is very deep. It's not denying the external action. The boss is objectively yelling,
Right.
but it's arguing that the suffering caused by that action is an internal voluntary process,
Meaning what?
meaning that external tormentor only has power over you as long as you refuse to acknowledge and love the corresponding despised part of yourself, the part that fears judgment or feels helpless, or maybe even harbors its own secret anger.
So when you fully love and integrate that part of yourself,
The conflict in the mirror is no longer necessary. The external person loses their ability to cause you distress. And often the dynamic it changes. The problem, as you experience it, melts away.
you're shifting the locus of control.
Yeah.
You stop trying to fix the boss, and you start healing your own internal vulnerability.
Exactly. The ultimate goal is to reach a state where you look at everything, every moment, and you can say, there is nothing wrong with this. All problems melt away.
But as long as you believe this is not good enough.
That belief will continue to find and create problems for you infinitely.
Okay, we absolutely have to address the moral objection here, because it's the biggest hurdle for accepting this.
I agree.
If I stop trying to improve, if I accept all my flaws, if I'm already fine, what about genuinely harmful behavior? Crime, the abuse we just talked about. Doesn't this philosophy just create monsters?
It's a crucial counterpoint. And the source links it all back to that visceral feeling we mentioned, the kokochiosa, pure comfort and joy.
How does that prevent harm?
When you are truly focused only on your purest inner comfort, a joy that is not ego-driven, the option of causing harm just disappears from your list of viable choices.
Why? Wouldn't a truly selfish person find joy in harming someone?
Not according to this philosophy, no, because causing misery to another creates immediate internal discomfort in the actor. Guilt, anxiety, fear.
Oh.
Those negative sensations fundamentally contradict the internal state of kokochiosa that the pure self is seeking. That discomfort, the guilt, the fear is the natural consequence of the ego choosing an action that the higher self just rejects.
So if you're truly liberated, connected to that joy, committing an antisocial act would be like drinking poison. It would violate your own deepest sense of comfort.
Exactly. And the source takes it one step further to a very high philosophical view. It sees the universe as being saturated by consciousness, by God, or the whole.
Where there is no place where God is not.
Right. And from that perspective, it's impossible for one person to truly injure another. Only you can hurt yourself through your own thoughts and your own resistance to the moment.
If you truly accept that, then the fear of causing or receiving harm it loses its power to control you. That is total liberation.
So the whole journey is about relinquishing that need to fix or seek,
Mm.
accepting the now as complete, and redirecting all that energy from self-criticism into creative joy.
This has been an absolutely eye-opening deep dive. If you want one final practical way into the state of Gadatsu, the sources point us toward, well, toward being a child again.
That's right, connecting with pure childlike innocence. We talk about kokotiosa, that comfort and delight. Think about a 3 or 4-year-old kid who's just drawing or running or singing. They're doing it purely for the joy it brings. They're not worried about being judged or if the drawing will sell or if they're achieving some goal. It's all about that sensory feeling of comfort in the moment.
So the focus has to be on the sensory feeling of comfort in your body, not the intellectual idea of happiness. That sensory focus is what bypasses the ego.
Now, for our final provocative thought, something to leave you with, based on this principle of resistance. This source implies that the ego's resistance, your feels of failing or being disliked, is actually essential. It's like the resistance of air to an airplane's wing.
You need it for lift.
You absolutely need it for lift and motion. So the question to leave you with is this. What current fear or anxiety in your life are you struggling against? Instead of recognizing it as the exact amount of necessary resistance required for your next powerful breakthrough.
Stop fighting the resistance and you might finally begin to fly.
Until next time.